I think whenever you're issued anything from a skip on up, you are automatically given a Jimmy Buffett CD, a greatest hits CD.
And even fewer get on here. This is the bridge of the HMCS Harry DeWolf, the newest of the Royal Canadian Navy's Harry DeWolf Class Arctic and offshore patrol vessels. And this is absolutely incredible.
So I'm grateful for my time in the Navy. It's certainly been unique. I appreciate these guys getting us wet back here. Lots of fun.
That's your welcome to Hamilton christening.
That's perfect, perfect.
When you think of Hamilton, you're forgiven if the first kind of image that comes to mind is this. Or maybe it's something like this. But that is fair in a sense, because the Port of Hamilton is the busiest Canadian Great Lakes port. And when it comes to steel, 60%, 60, of all steel produced in this country happens right here. But there's more to this port than just the industrial side of things. In fact, for boaters in the know, Hamilton is one of the best-kept secrets anywhere on the Great Lakes. For one thing, Hamilton Harbor, also known as Burlington Bay, is absolutely massive. And it's been home to the Royal Hamilton Yacht Club for well over a century. There's also Coote's Paradise, which can be explored by canoe or kayak, no motorized watercraft allowed. And for the powerboaters, well, there's multiple boat ramps around the bay, and marinas and yacht clubs, and that easy access to the Great Lakes. There's a lot of ways you can arrive to Hamilton, by plane, by train, by car, or by boat. And if you do arrive by boat, when possible, you do it in style. So, we are on the HMCS Harry DeWolf. It is an Arctic and offshore patrol vessel, and I can't help but notice with Burlington behind you that we are not in the Arctic. What are we doing here?
That's correct. We're bringing the Navy to Canadians. So we've sailed this ship all the way from Halifax, Nova Scotia, to connect with half of Canada's population, which resides between Quebec and Windsor Corridor. Yeah, Lieutenant Commander Chris Elliott, Commanding Officer of HMCS Hunter. The whole purpose of bringing the Navy to the Canadians is to try to interact with them, educate them about the Navy and what it's doing, and let them know about the career opportunities that are in the Navy. So in every port visit we do, there's a Marine Career Expo happening to come down and learn about the ship, learn about the Navy, and learn about career opportunities, and as well public tours so that we can engage with Canadians and help them learn more about what we're doing.
And this isn't the first time something like this has happened. It's not going to be the last time, so obviously there's some effectiveness in all this.
Yeah, we endeavor to run this program annually to, again, try to connect with Canadians and show off our newest capabilities like the Arctic and offshore patrol vessel. So we'll be back in the Great Lakes next fall, hoping to connect with more Canadians, more students, and let them know about what we're doing. Well, it's certainly a special experience. You know, a lot of us are come up in the Navy on either coast and sailing the oceans, but we have the largest inland freshwater system in the world, and it's quite a unique experience to be able to sail through that. And certainly being from Windsor, Ontario, Detroit River, Lake Erie, Lake St. Clair surrounding me, it's even more special for me to bring this ship back to my home community. So I'm grateful for my time in the Navy. It's certainly been unique. I appreciate these guys getting us wet back here. Lots of fun.
That's your welcome to Hamilton christening.
That's perfect, perfect.
This is the bridge of the HMCS Harry DeWolf. Lots going on here. Way too much to get into the nitty-gritty, but the important thing and what this matters for you as a recreational boater is lessons that we can learn from this bridge, which is communication. There's a big team, everyone has very specific roles, and everyone communicates probably more than you're used to. It's really neat being up here. Every little thing is communicated and cross-communicated. Do that on your boat, it'll be safer on the water, and this is kind of neat. Let's see what else I can learn from these folks.
Give it in the crowd. Show them how you.
I'm Sub Lieutenant Leah Schwartz. I'm a bridge watchkeeper on HMCS Harry DeWolf in the Royal Canadian Navy. So when we're up here, we're looking outside for other ships, any hazards to navigation, as well as we're dealing with any internal issues and running the ship's program. So we're making sure things are happening on time. One of the most dangerous things that can happen aboard a ship is having a fire. So in the off chance that happens, we'll be managing things up here while our emergency stations closes up. Perfect.
And how long have you been in the Navy?
I've been in the Navy for 5 years now.
Why did you choose a career in the Navy?
Oh gosh. It's such a cool job. Like every day is different. Like you go from being in a recruiting office to like driving a warship. I have friends who like they don't have their driver's license, but they're allowed to drive a warship by themselves, and it's such a good opportunity. You get to do so many cool things. We've got like dive courses, rescue swimmer courses. Everyone on board is a trained firefighter, so like it's just such a cool experience.
I was only on board for a couple of hours, and I can second that fully. Cruising under the Burlington Lift Bridge and into the harbor was incredible, even if we did have a little bit of traffic to contend with. But, you know, that's normal in the GTA. Where we were heading was particularly special, as Commander Nicholson guided the HMCS Harry DeWolf into place, shimmying right up beside the HMCS Haida. That ship, which served in World War II, was first commanded by a man named Harry DeWolf. This is the HMCS Haida, and this is Megan McDonald with Parks Canada. How are you?
Good, thanks.
So, I don't know anything about this other than that this is legit. This is an actual Canadian battleship that saw action at some point. And now Parks Canada takes care of it. So tell me about that and how Parks got involved.
Sure. So HMCS Haida was commissioned in 1943 and was involved in active combat for about 20 years. It served in the Second World War, the Korean War, and the Gulf War. So after its time serving, a bunch of retired veterans and other naval enthusiasts adopted the ship, started taking care of her, eventually sold it to the province of Ontario, where it was docked at Ontario Place. And then 21 years ago, Parks Canada bought it, tugboated it to Hamilton, and now it's docked here in Hamilton, Ontario. Yeah, so the ship was involved in a lot of key battles. It's actually known as Canada's most fightingest ship.
Really?
Because it sunk the most enemy surface tonnage than any other ship in the Royal Canadian Navy. So in just over a year, it sunk 14 ships. And so it is now the ceremonial flagship of the Royal Canadian Navy. And we do still fire the guns. Obviously, they are blanks now, but it's a really fun activation. We have people come from all over to see it, and it's really unique. So these are the 4-inch guns.
They're huge.
They actually fire 15 kilometers.
What? That's nuts.
Yeah, all the way to the Hamilton Airport from here.
How loud is that?
Extremely loud. Jarring, but really cool.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's amazing. So it's not just super cool, fancy people like me calling in favors that can be on here. The average bear can come and tour it, right? But it's not open 7 days a week, 365. So what is the window of visits we got?
So we open in May till the end of September. So for the rest of August, we're open Wednesday to Sunday, with late nights on Thursdays till 8 p.m., which is great. It's a little cooler. Maybe you're done your workday, perfect time to come. And in the month of September, it'll be weekends only, and then we're closed for the season.
These torpedoes?
Yes. So the torpedoes are the only remaining armament that are from 1943 on the ship.
No way. This is too cool. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is so cool. And now we fire the guns. No.
Give it in the crowd. Show them how you feel.
This is Royal Hamilton Yacht Club, and this is Rob Mazza, the chair of the Heritage Committee here. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
All right, so it's a little cooler today, but there's some nice sail fuel in the air they're giving out. But let's talk about the history of this place. So RHYC, the R is Royal, so you're
Royal.
legit. How do you get a Royal designation, by the way?
You have to apply for it. This club actually was founded in 1888 as the Hamilton Yacht Club. And the original clubhouse was just at the foot of James Street. And then they built the wedding cake clubhouse on the ship canal in 1891. And that's when they applied to the Governor General, to Queen Victoria, to get the Royal designation. And at that time, there was only two other Royal clubs in Canada, the Royal Canadian Yacht Club in Toronto and the Royal Nova Scotian Yacht Squadron in Halifax. So when we received the Royal designation in 1891, we're the third Royal Yacht Club in Canada. So the club has been on this property since 1939. So we've got about 525 memberships and about almost 1,000 members.
All right. And what's the breakdown of power to sail? Is it mostly sail or sort of a 50-50?
It's predominantly sail, but we're getting more and more powerboats joining. I'd say it's about 80-20 at this stage.
Okay. And the, you know, this looks like, so as these junior sailors are coming in, it's the perfect backdrop for my mix of questions. So obviously you want, you know, active members, you want the club's future to be bright, but you're involved in the Heritage Committee. I am someone who loves history in general. Why is it important to you that the club's history and the heritage is known and celebrated and not just be like, hey, well, let's just focus on tomorrow?
Well, the important thing about the club is its relationship with the community. You know, we started the formal junior sailing program in 1958. Thousands of kids have gone through that, the Able Sail program, and we're in the north end of Hamilton, which traditionally has not been the wealthier part of Hamilton. So interconnecting with that community has been important to us. You know, we have scholarship programs for some of those kids to be part of the junior sailing program. And the club's history, from the point of view of what it has brought to Hamilton. As I mentioned earlier, we've had 10 Olympic sailors from this club, including Canada's first ever Olympic sailor, Norm Robertson, in 1924, went to the Olympics in Paris. And this year, we had another RHYC sailor going to the Olympics in Paris 100 years after Norm went. And so just that involvement with the community, the sports history of this club is just phenomenal. You know, we won the Canada's Cup in 1978, the first club other than the Royal Canadian Yacht Club to win the Canada's Cup for Canada. And Don Green that did that in 1978. Tony Ronza defended it in 83 and 81 and 83. Again, just bringing that level of publicity to Hamilton, which, as you said, was usually has a traditional, you know, reputation as being a steel town. So it's more than that. And all those people that went to the Olympics, and Don Green and John Robertson, learned to sail on this bay. John Robertson, who went to the Olympics twice, said he learned everything he had to know about sailing upwind by sailing against a west wind in this bay.
That's fantastic.
What I emphasize is the longevity and the time this club has been on this bay when other people have basically abandoned this bay. I mean, this bay is now going through rejuvenation with waterfront development, but we've been here, you know, on this bay, promoting the sailing on this bay for 136 years, and we're still here, and doing better than we've ever done before. I mean, the club's doing exceptionally well right now.
Well, here's another 136 years. Thanks for your time, Rob.
Okay.
Man, this is cool. Just outside the bay on the Lake Ontario side that you probably wouldn't think to look for if you're driving down the QEW is this relatively nondescript brown building. But believe it or not, this is a Hamilton landmark. This is one of those places that I think is locally famous. If you're from Hamilton, you probably know and have been here before. But if you haven't, make a stop. This is Hutch's on the Beach. Been in this area since 1946. And I got the general manager here, Rick Cregan. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thanks for doing this. So tell me about how you got hooked up with Hutch's
I just sort of fell into it. I started shortly after I finished up high school, and it was going to be more or less a summer job. It wasn't going to be forever kind of thing, and one thing led to another, and here I am 47 years later.
That's a long summer.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Tell me about the clientele, because like we've been here, I've seen everyone from like hydro workers coming in to families and.
Oh yeah, it runs the gamut. You get like business people in suits and stuff like that. Probably one of the most well-known one is Ron Foxcroft. And Ron comes in here on a daily basis. But then we get the workers and we get the families, and we're up to like, say, 4 generations of people. So, I mean, I've literally watched some people grow up. Yeah.
Cool. So what's the, if someone's coming here, they've never been to Hamilton before, they've come in by boat or they're visiting and they want to come for lunch, what's the classic order?
Mostly like fish and chips. That's like 2/3 of our business. But then like you have the sportsmans and the footlongs and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. And the fries are like our biggest.
One more year for you, but you've been coming here all the time. You're from the area. People that have never been to Hamilton, they probably think steel mills, but don't think of, like, this is beautiful beachfront and all this stuff.
I get a ton of people that come from the other side of Toronto and almost like New York State, and they pop in there and they go, this is unreal. Like, I mean, it's quite a surprise for them, especially the people from Toronto thinking something like that would be in Hamilton, you know? So.
Give it in the crowd.
Boating and music go together in the eyes of many people. I have a boat lover, but not a boat owner, but that's neither here nor there, because you are a broadcaster. Alan Cross, host of the Ongoing History of New Music.
Yes.
How are you, fella?
I'm fine, thank you.
So, music and boats. First thing I think of is yacht rock, but that is an interesting genre.
It is. It's something that came about around 15 years ago. That's when we finally got the term, when there was a magazine article or somebody was trying to categorize a certain type of soft rock from the 1970s because it somehow went with yachts and boats and yacht clubs. So Michael McDonald, Toto, certain Doobie Brothers with Michael McDonald, Pablo Cruz, all that sort of highly produced soft rock from the late 70s and early 1980s.
It's crazy to me that, like, it fits the title. You hear yacht rock and then you hear the music, you're like, oh yeah, this sounds like something you
Christopher
have.
Cross, sailing, yeah, I mean, that works.
But it wasn't, in the 80s, no one was talking about yacht rock.
No, nobody was talking about it because this was, you know, the super smooth, super slick corporate rock that was highly uncool for a lot of people. It was only later, and like I say, in the early 2000s, that people began to categorize it as something that you might listen to on a large ship of some sort.
I like it. Well, another one that you'd listen to on a ship, Jimmy Buffett goes with boating almost as an instruction manual. Here's your first boat. Listen to Margaritaville.
Yeah, I think whenever you're issued anything from a skip on up, you are automatically given a Jimmy Buffett CD, a greatest hit CD. He's actually selling one of his boats right now. I think it's in Rhode Island or Long Island right now. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Jimmy Buffett. He was a sailor, son of a sailor. Spent a lot of time in the Florida Keys, up and down the Caribbean. So yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I was actually once in a boat, a small single-masted schooner in the Gustavia Harbor in St. Bart's with a guy who sewed sails for a living. And what did he do? Well, he had two cassettes. One was Bob Marley's Legend, and the other was something from Jimmy Buffett. And I was on that little schooner, or the little boat for, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, and that's all we listened to. Not by choice, but because that's all he had.
That's all he had, yeah. Well, reggae, island music, the Caribbean, that's one type of music, but with a very brief but high peak during the COVID era, sea shanties came back from a different kind of island. What's the deal with, how did that take off?
That was a weird one. It came out of the UK. There was, I think, a postman who, for whatever reason, recorded this sea shanty type thing. And it caught on, and it charted in the UK. And it came and went in a space of, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. It was a very, very fast little trend.
Yeah, I guess it was like the definition of earworm kind of thing, that you heard it and people kept going. One last question for you. There's like, when I tell people about boat music and all that, if it's not Jimmy Buffett, they're like, oh, I'm on a boat with the Lonely Island and T-Pain and those joke songs and things like that.
Yeah, that's true. Not my thing. And if I was ever on a boat with that kind of stuff, I'd probably ask to be let off at the next port.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you on the spot as final question. You are going on a sailing trip and you are in charge of the music, but you're like this fella that only has room for 2 cassettes, or 3, I'll give you. What 3 would go with boating or sailing for you?
For me? Oh, God. To be honest, I think I would just sit there and listen to the wind and the waves. I listen to music professionally, so when I need downtime, I spend a lot of time in silence. And the last time I took a long small boat cruise was between the islands and the Grenadines, and we kept it quiet the entire time. It was the birds, it was the waves, it was the wind, it was the sound of the sails. That's all I needed.
Sounds of silence.
Yes.
Sounds of sailing. There you go. Beautiful. Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.
All right. Update your playlist. Or turn it off, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
Beauty.
If you're lucky, you remember their names.
That's true. I'm terrible with that. Thanks, Pete. No. I don't know if that's disrespectful. I'll get emails. We'll clean it up and post if it is.
I think it'll be okay.
I think so. I'm not in the Navy. Am I allowed to salute?
I don't see why not.
Civilian, right?
Yeah.
Get the rainbow. This Vice is from Miami.